Hello friends of TV Agro, my name is Jose Polania. I am a professor at the University of La Salle and coordinator of the Sustainable Agriculture Research Line in the postgraduate programs in agrosciences. Today we are going to talk about the fundamentals of climate-smart agriculture. What is climate-smart agriculture? They are approaches aimed at integrating different disciplines that help us to have more sustainable agricultural production systems in the face of climate change. Therefore, we are going to talk a little about what climate change is and how we can face those situations or these challenges that are going away from me. To present in agriculture for climate change and how we can make sustainable systems to be able to face these situations. Agriculture, on the one hand, is contributing to climate change by emitting greenhouse gases, and on the other hand, it is suffering the consequences of climate change. What are greenhouse gases? They are those gases that we are emitting into the atmosphere and that are helping to conserve heat. Therefore, they are helping to accelerate the processes of climate change. From agriculture we are emitting carbon dioxide, nitrous oxide and methane gas, which we are emitting from agricultural productions or livestock productions. Regarding the concentration of these gases in the atmosphere, we have different predictions or different climate change scenarios, which are telling us that by the year 2050 we are going to have changes in temperatures, an increase in temperature and changes in rainfall patterns. These changes in temperature and changes in rainfall patterns are going to affect our production systems. Therefore, from the climate-smart agriculture approach system we are looking for different alternatives or approaches that help us face this problem. What are those approaches? Climate-smart agriculture has three objectives. The first of these is to increase the productivity of agricultural systems in a sustainable manner. The second objective is to help communities have sustainable production systems that are adaptable to climate change. The third objective is to reduce or eliminate the emission of greenhouse gases that may occur from agricultural production. What alternatives or what strategies can we have in agricultural production systems to be able to face the consequences of climate change, and at the same time help reduce the emission of greenhouse gases? Climate-smart agriculture can integrate many disciplines. One of them can be Agriculture 4.0, which is all the technological developments of software and robotics that we can integrate into production systems. From there, we can have many examples such as implementing technological systems in order to monitor the states of crops. An example of them are drones. We make flights with drones, we see the state of a crop and we apply fertilizers only to the parts of the crop that need to be applied. With what we do, we reduce the use of fertilizers. By reducing the use of fertilizers we are reducing the probability of emitting greenhouse gases such as nitrous oxide. We can also monitor the water status of the crop and apply irrigation only in the parts that are necessary and in the situations that are necessary, helping to conserve water resources in agricultural production systems. Other alternatives that we have to face climate change are evaluation of genetic diversity and genetic improvement of species. What examples can we have here? In the different climate change scenarios we have, the temperature will increase 1 degree Celsius or 1.5 degrees Celsius by 2030 or by 2050. Therefore, we need to look for species and do genetic improvement so that crops can withstand this change of temperature. There we have different groups that have identified materials or new species that can withstand these temperature changes. We see examples that we already have corn that can withstand heat, beans that can withstand heat, and many other species of agricultural interest already adapted to hot conditions. The same is happening with drought and flooding. They are other of the two scenarios that we can have in climate change. Some parts are going to be drier, other parts are going to have increased rainfall. Therefore, we need to look from the vision of agriculture climate smart. Species adapted to extreme drought conditions and extreme flood conditions so that systems are resilient and can adapt to these conditions. We have many other examples and alternatives that we can do from the vision of climate-smart agriculture. We are doing genetic improvement. Or evaluating genetic diversity present in rice. To find those varieties of rice that do not emit more methane into the atmosphere, that reduce their methane emissions, that we are contributing to the third objective of climate-smart agriculture. Reduction or elimination of greenhouse gases. Another example that is being applied a lot, and that is of great interest, is the selection of pastures and other species that in their roots are secreting substances that are inhibiting soil nitrification. What is nitrification? It is when we apply nitrogenous fertilizers or organic fertilizers. Part of this nitrogen is being lost from the soil and is leaving the atmosphere through nitrous oxide. Nitrous oxide is another greenhouse gas. What these species are doing by adding these substances is helping to conserve this nitrogen in the soil and decreasing the emission of nitrous oxide. It has been found that many species of grasses have this capacity. Specifically the brachiaria that produce certain sweat systems and help to conserve nitrogen in the soil by decreasing the emission of oxide nitrous. And thus we can contribute to climate change. Another of the different disciplines that we can integrate into climate-smart agriculture is the identification of current systems that can be resilient to climate change, that is, those current production systems, by small farmers, in which, due to the combination of species that they have and the management that they are giving it, have the capacity to withstand the variations that are projected with climate change. This through ancestral and traditional knowledge in their production systems. The idea is that we can identify these production systems, be able to replicate in other parts that have the same characteristics, and also be able to have more tools to be able to face the effects of climate change. We can also talk about urban gardens. The idea of urban gardens is to make cities more resilient to climate change, so that cities can produce part of their food and at the same time be able to adapt to the consequences or effects of climate change. By producing their own food and by producing them in an agroecological way, in which the organic waste that we are generating in the cities is being reused and having a more circular agriculture. At this moment we are in an orchard of the University of La Salle North Campus, in which we are producing different types of fruits, vegetables and tubers in an agroecological, sustainable way, in which we are using organic products to fertilize and biological products to control pests and diseases and thus also contribute to climate change, reducing the emission of greenhouse gases. At the University of La Salle in the different undergraduate and graduate programs of the Faculty of Agricultural Sciences, we have research projects, which are integrating climate-smart agriculture. Currently, we are working on a project where we use technology. Using Agriculture 4.0, using drones, adopting artificial intelligence and data analysis. We want to identify current systems that can be resilient and can adapt to climate change. It is a project that is more oriented towards small farmers and towards food security. At this moment it is focused on the Llanos Orientales region. Likewise, we are leading research in circular agriculture and the sustainable route, in which we can use organic waste to generate fertilizers, use bioinputs, create bioinputs, generate our own insecticides, our own fungicides, in a biological way to make sustainable agriculture and likewise reduce greenhouse gases and to contribute to climate change mitigation. On the other hand, adaptation to climate change. We are also promoting the production of urban gardens, in which we are providing education on how to establish an urban garden, what must be considered, how to control the different factors that can limit production in an urban garden. Likewise, to be able to contribute adaptation to climate change. Therefore, we invite you to come to know about these projects, to know about our publications about the different events of socialization and dissemination of information that we have, both at the undergraduate levels, the research of the master's and doctoral students of the agrosciences from the University of La Salle. Friends of TV Agro, I hope this topic has been of interest to you. We invite you to the University of La Salle to come and learn what we are doing regarding these issues, the contributions to climate-smart agriculture, to tell you about the results of research in order to mitigate and adapt to climate change. To get to know our facilities, become familiar with all the projects we are having in our urban gardens and everything pertinent to education and research on adaptation and mitigation of the effects of climate change. I hope it has been of interest for you. See you soon.